Select board meeting is being recorded.
All right, good evening and welcome to the select board meeting for the town of Southwick. It's Monday, April 24th, 2023. Present, myself, Chairman Russell S. Fox. Vice Chairman Doug Mogul is on his way. Clerk Jason Perone is here. Chief Administrative Officer Carl J. Steinhardt is present. Assistant Chief Administrative Officer Nadine Signoni is here. And Administrative Assistant Robin Solak is present. If we could begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First thing on the agenda is public comments. We're going to begin with people present in this room first, and then we'll go to Zoom. I'd ask anybody that would like to talk to please state their name and address. Well, we got a hand up already. Go ahead.
Inga Hoteling, 45 Klein Road. I have two positive comments I want to present. Number one, the center of town by the Congregational Church with all the tulips abloom, absolutely beautiful. So they did a great job and it just looks so vibrant there. Second comment, yesterday at my home, I live right by a culvert and it flooded profusely. I just want to give kudos to the police department for reacting so quickly. A young officer by the name of Kyle showed up, and within a very short period of time, he contacted DPW. And these folks showed up in the middle of the afternoon with their equipment and got the road to where it wasn't flooding and was going to be a safety process for people to go through. So just kudos to the departments.
Hey, is there anyone else in this room that would like to make a public comment? I see no more hands. We're going to go to Zoom. Is there anyone on Zoom? I see a hand, one hand up. Dr. Muller,
Hello.
can you hear us, Eric?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You're very soft, Eric. If you
Oh,
could-
okay. Let me try and figure out why. I'm using a different computer.
Yep, that's better.
Okay, that's better?
Yes, sir.
Good, okay. And Dick Ranellis and I are both going to comment. And actually, I think I'll let Dick lead off and then I'll follow up. Is that all right, Dick?
Sure,
All
sure.
right.
Dick, if you could state your name and address, please.
Yes, Richard Granels and 148 Berkshire Avenue. And the LMC has been very actively reviewing the original presentation for Chapter 91 license for 141 Congamon Road. And the latest one that came in, which is the draft license from Mass DEP, which took a long time for them to issue, does have many errors in it. And there are issues with, first off, with numbers. They have in the text, they say 49 boats. In the actual map, the plan shows slips 1 through 4 through 40, which is not 49. They also still have the 150-foot long docks, and Eric will speak more about the interference. I did provide a marked up copy of the plan it's redlined and shows what the 150-foot long docks result in terms of interfering with navigation to and from the culvert that connects Middle Pond and South Pond. And in addition, we have made comments about the removal of the grassed area, which is about 10 feet wide, that was put in by MassDOT as part of the Congamon Road reconstruction project. The sidewalk currently ends just east of Beach Road, and we'd like it to extend to the sidewalk that was installed as part of the replacement of the culvert between Middle and South Ponds, which does have a sidewalk on it. And that takes us right to the Connecticut line where there are additional subdivisions. So we want to see the safety improve there because that's on a curve. If it forces people into the street, that's not a good thing. Right now, they can at least walk on grass, but they won't be able to do that because that'll be narrowed down to 5 feet, and with bumpers of vehicles, it'll be down to about 2 feet remaining, where one could try to walk. So that's a couple of them. I'll let Eric speak to the issues of navigation, because he lives on South Pond.
Hey, Dr. Muller, if you could please state your name and address.
Sure, Eric Muller, 12th Shore Road. So Dick did a nice job of marking up the drawing to try and illustrate our concerns regarding the navigation in that area. And what you can see there is that we wind up pinching things to the point that we think there's not only, is it a big navigation issue, but we think it's actually likely, you may wind up with some boat collisions in that area. Both between boats that are trying to move through in both directions and then being pinched by the boats that are going to be on the outer slips on the northernmost dock of the two that are shown there. So that's the general concern. I certainly see plenty of traffic. The weekends, of course, are when you see all the traffic, right? In the middle of the season. And you see people queuing up there because they kind of need to, because you can only get one boat through at a time. Boats can't pass at the same time. You can only go through one at a time. And so boats queue up and wait. And then when boats come through, then the boats that are queued up, try and get in there before another boat queues up on the other side. And so that already leads to a point, where people pass reasonably closely, but I think in general, people are pretty, are pretty polite about the whole thing. But the concern now is I'm just picturing, and Dick's done a nice job of drawing, that what's going to happen is you're going to have boats queued up to go. And then when boats have come from middle into south, that queue is now going to push them over, which it does already. Only now when it pushes them over, they're going to be squeezed between the boats that are queued up and the docks. And that doesn't even take into account boats that might be trying to come in and out of those docks, which of course may take place at the same time as well. So I believe Dick can straighten me out if I have this wrong, but I believe really what our ask is to bring this back to the state. They have a process for this. I think there's $100 application fee for us to bring this up and ask them to look at these specific concerns. One other thing I wanted to note, so Dick was noting the issue with the removal of the berm in the grass area. Just to make it clear, on the plan as it stands, basically that gets squeezed down to 5 feet, and because that whole area is removed, then there's a 5-foot space between there and between the stop and the road. And then when people park their vehicles, bumper overhang can typically be 2 to 3 feet. And so if you had a 3 foot of overhang, you now only have 2 feet. So even if you don't take into account somebody, somebody who might be partially disabled, American with Disability Act, prescribes our sidewalks to be 5 feet, which of course this won't permit. It's going to drive people to walk in the street. And on that curve in that congested area, that seems pretty disconcerting.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thanks. Dick, did you have anything else, or we?
No, I just, we would like the time for Mass DEP to make corrections. They also did not account for the order of conditions condition that says all the boats have to be out, all the docks have to be out by December 1st, which is a hard condition in the Concom approved order of conditions. And that's not so stated in the, the license.
Yeah, and in fact, not only is that not stated, what is stated is that any dock cover and any dock coverage in excess of 2,000 square feet must be seasonally removed. So there's two issues. One, it doesn't give a date for that removal, and that date should be December 1st. Number two, it permits 2,000 square feet to be there permanently, and the order of conditions said that it can't be there permanently. So that seems to be in contradiction.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else, public comments? I don't see any other. I got a hand up in the room. If you could please state your name and address, please.
Ken Eggleston, 141 Congamon Road. My comments would be as a follow-up to what the Lake Management Committee has said, and really some explanations as to why some of the numbers are what they are and why things are the way they are. First, the reason it's not an error that it says 49 instead of 40. 49 is the number used because if I had 50, I would then need to have additional bathrooms. And so that I would not have to go back to them, going backwards a little, the approval that I have from the boards are that right now I can have up to 20 rental, up to 20 transient. However, it's also stated that we would be able to look back at that each year to see if that number can change. So what the DEP is saying is that, okay, we understand that possibility might exist. We're approving you for 49. That's not saying that you still don't have to go by whatever the planning board and select board have already told you, that you can only have 40 at this time. But she's just saying, so you don't have to come back to me and reapply for your chapter 91 for a change. I'm already approving you for 49 because 49 is what can fit into the area of space that she's allowed. As far as 150-foot long docks go, the state laws for a great pond says that I have the right to go out 150 feet. And that's the area that they have marked off that I can't go any further. As far as it has to do with the culvert, your own CRC group of people spent an entire day out there taking photos and pictures and running tests back and forth to see what kind of congestion would happen. They had buoys out at the end of the docks, 150-foot docks, which, by the way, are in the exact same location they've been for the last 30 years. When Joe Scuderi had the restaurant there, I put those first docks closest to the culvert are in the exact same place they always were for all those years. But there's 122 feet between the end of the dock and the center line. Okay, the rules state 150 feet should be an area of space needed. However, the way that the state is looking at it is you don't always drive a boat in a straight line. There's no reason. There's a lot of room off to the left-hand side, and these boats can go off to the left, and they can find their way around. It's not going to be difficult for them to do it if they did it the old way at 122 feet to maneuver. No boats are lining up 2, 3, 4 wide to do that. And if I may throw something in regarding talking about going through the culvert and not having a straight line and a lot of footage, we can all look and talk about what's going on between Middle Pond and North Pond, where there's no visibility. There's not a 50 feet wide area for anybody to drive boats through. It's a one-way track. You can go one way and get there and have to almost go to the shoreline so another boat can come out. But that's already been approved for their docks, and I'm not against it. I wouldn't want anybody to be against it for me, so I won't be against it for them. But if you're worried about this, you've got bigger problems. As far as the docks out at the end of the year, on a Great Pond, which is what Congamon Lake is, the DEP says that 1,999, actually 2,000 square feet can stay in the water year round. And that anything over that has to come out and be placed on shore above the high water mark. And that's what I intend to do. The rule that he is speaking about, I believe, doesn't refer to commercial docks at all. It clearly states that it's residential docks. That's the law that has been written within the town of Southwick. The sidewalks. And the parking on the land that I'm leasing for the town. The road, when it was put in several years ago, I don't know now, to me, time flies, but maybe 5 years ago, 6 years, 7 years ago, I don't know when that. road was put in.
2019,
19,
2019.
only 3 years ago? Okay.
yes.
If they were gonna put a sidewalk there or care about people walking in the road and not on the grass and not in the parking lot, I think they would have put it in at that time. Why would you do, you know, 1.5 miles of road with sidewalks and not do that last section? Because they had no intention of doing it, is my opinion, is what I believe. The sidewalk is, the grass area is now 5 feet wide. No, the sidewalk will become 5 feet wide. Right now, it's larger than 5 feet. We're cutting it back 2 feet to allow for the cars to park there. Seven cars are gonna park there. I went before the planning board a couple weeks ago, and the first 4 spots in that area have been reduced to only 16 feet in length. The parking space, so that's gonna be, and for their order, I need to put in there small cars only. There won't be any big cars, no trucks, anything like that. It will be all small cars and maybe motorcycles show up. I'm one of those people who walks. I live 5 houses into Connecticut, and I walk all the time in that direction. If I'm not walking to the rail trail, riding a bike to the rail trail, I'm on the road, I'm on the side of the road. I cross over right at Krabby Joe's at the building and go on the grass area, go right into the parking lot and keep on going, just like everybody else does. These 2 feet that's gonna be taken away, I don't think is gonna affect anybody walking with any danger. It's a curve, you know, it's not a 45-degree turn. You know, you might be turning 70 degrees or something, you know, it's not much at all, actually not 70, 160.
Okay. If you could try to sum it up, Ken.
Something that he didn't bring up tonight, that I know that was brought up at the Lake Management Committee meeting, and they seem to be concerned about it, was that they're saying that those 10 spaces are reflected upon whether the marina can happen or not happen. That's really not the case. The marina parking is not there. The marina parking has been selected to be the south end of the property, abutting the neighbor's property, where I put up a wall and a fence, and that's also gonna be labeled seasonal marina parking. So, I would say that the request that they have for the town to pay $100 to try and appeal this is, if you chose to do that, I would be totally against it, of course. Would only be the beginning of the amount of money that would be spent. And all that would do is delay it. Because $100 is to get the appeal papers in there. Now you gotta get lawyers. It's not like anybody here is gonna be able to go there and discuss it with the state. It will require a lawyer. And I've been told this by them too. If I get appealed, I'm gonna need a lawyer. And that's not gonna be $100, it's gonna be thousands of dollars. And for what we're discussing here, every bit of this has already been approved by your board, by the planning board. As far as that parking area goes, it was approved by the town's attorney, who said that leasing the property is not a problem for the town, or for the state, or for any liabilities thereof. So these changes or these items that are being brought up are old and been discussed and been considered, I'm sure, very much so by your board and the planning board. And for you to change your direction, to think that their idea would be the right move, doesn't seem right.
All right. Is there anyone new under public comments? You see a hand?
Yeah, Michelle Pratt, see the little hand up on the left.
Michelle, did you want to make a public comment?
Yes, hi, thank you. Michelle Pratt, 152 Berkshire Ave, President of Citizens Restoring Congamon. I did go back and measure on Google Earth, and the docks, it looks like under the former Krabby Joe's were 135 feet, not 150 from my measurements. And, you know, if somebody else wants to try it, they can check it out. The CRC group that did the run through of the boats going in and out of the tunnel did not find that it was going to be so easily maneuverable, that it was really difficult to line up on the left and get everybody situated and get out into the middle to have good visibility through the tunnel. And then the turn taking of how that was going to go is a nightmare. And to say that, respectfully, to say that that's what we have going into Middle and North, and that is a horrible nightmare. And so for me, two wrongs don't make a right. I think we should learn from things that are wrong and not do it again, is more what we should be doing. So also when Krabby Joe's had their docks there, we had far fewer boats on the lake, and I don't know the exact census numbers, LMC would know that, but there were far fewer boats on the lake. So I just feel like that's a really bad move. And the idea of possibly adding even more, 9 more boats to slips there in the future, is really, really troubling and not in the best interest of the health of the lake or safety on the lake.
Thank you. Is there anyone else new? Last call. I do not see any hands up, so, okay, we're going to our regular meeting. Thank you. We're going to be meeting with the Finance Committee Chairman, Town Moderator, about the budget article, so we have the Town Moderator and the Finance Committee Chairman.
My vice chair, she was able to be in town.
Then we can grab a chair and
Okay. That was so big.
all right, so we're gonna be discussing. First of all, we call the special town meeting.
Yeah.
You want to just go through that? I think that's pretty cut and dry.
Right. You have the draft articles. It's being reviewed by town council.
Okay,
And that basically, as we've mentioned, year-end transfers, the first one. Different overtime accounts replenishing, police, fire, EMS. The COLAs, backfills, things of that nature. So those are this modest number there. Second one. Snow and ice removal. And that include the hired equipment, plus overtime, and then also Randy's request to make sure that we replenish the salt shed, because if you have to do that now, otherwise, if you created a problem, you'd end up having a shortfall in the next year.
Excuse me, Carl.
Yeah.
Can you hear roughly how much we're gonna go back in for salt, of how much dollars are going back towards it?
It's about 2,000 tons,
Wow,
paying about $105 a ton.
thank you, sir.
I'll second it, John.
Yes, sir. That's it.
And then the annual transfer of funds to the other post-employment benefits trust, OPEB, we do that every year. The only thing I'm just having council check is last year under Articles 7 and 8 of the annual, we did vote to change the establishment and re-stepped the OPEB trust under the latest DOR guidelines. So I have to make sure that that citation still correct. So that'll be part of the town attorney's review. And then equipment, a 1-ton pickup truck that came out of your meeting last week. With the chairman of the FinCom, and then paving projects for $500,000.
okay. Let's go over the time for the special town meeting,
But
because
before we go there, can we readdress a few things? I'm sorry to do this. But I'm not comfortable with the free cash or at the end being 854,000. We usually run $1 million over. Right? Every year, Carl?
Yeah.
So is there any way we can put off that 175 for that truck? Because that'll get us closer to the $1 million that we normally do. We've never really go below that number. And I gotta plead my case. I know, I'm sorry.
we have gone below that number over the years.
I don't want to.
Okay, I can tell you don't want to. when we went back and forth, we discussed,
I'm not happy.
okay. We discussed the fact
did.
that next year is going to be extremely lean.
I
We
understand that.
talked about the fact that Mr. Connolly, who was the liaison down there,
Mhm.
talked about repairs between $20,000 and $40,000.
Yeah,
And we talked about the cost benefits of it.
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying, but unless I hear something different from this board, I'm gonna go with that, what we had agreed to last week.
so I guess it's open for some discussion.
I don't know if this has ever been brought up before, but this is a brand new truck, right?
No, yeah, it's
Randy, is there any possibility that like a leased use, something that would be cheaper? I know, I mean, I know what happens with leased, yeah.
Yeah,
They get abused and I understand that. I just,
Plus, we use them way beyond a lease period.
we do. We'll be
What are we
doing.
retiring here?
well, no, I don't mean leasing, but purchasing a leased vehicle.
I don't have a machine part.
Right.
That was older than that.
I don't know if my.
I thought it was 19, somebody said.
A 19 truck.
Maybe that's the bigger unit. That's the dump.
So we have the dump truck was a 2019.
Right,
That's
okay.
the older dump truck.
Right,
Right, which I feel we need.
Yeah.
Okay.
One son was a 12.
Right.
okay.
I'm just looking at the dollars. It's 300 and something thousand for the bigger one. And we're
I
gonna
just-
finance that.
Again.
Because this did one-time trucks, a big part of it, that plow back.
We need a fall package.
No, I know that. I'm just saying, how much does that add to the value? So when people start saying, why is the number on the higher side?
It's probably 30,000-40,000.
Yes,
I don't know if this, I might have been mistaken the way I presented it. I'm asking as far as not a lease vehicle, but like to purchase a vehicle that was part of a lease team, like a lease fleet. Is that a possibility where we could, I mean, I know we could come in cheaper with a lease or a previously leased or previously. owned
Slightly
vehicle.
used.
Yeah, slightly used.
coming off.
So I've never looked at that, and I will tell you, probably you're gonna have a trouble finding a vehicle that meets our
Yeah,
requirements. I mean, the lead time on your vehicles is a year.
I know,
So
but-
even if I get this truck at this town meeting, I probably won't have it for another year.
Mr. Mogul?
I left it to you guys to settle.
I thought we had
I
it,
don't know if You're
so
gonna do a.
Well,
I hear you.
you want to flip a coin or?
Yeah,
Flip the coin.
I'm lost, so I have no
Really gonna do
choice.
that? Randy's rolling his head right now.
I don't there.
Use the two-headed coin I gave
I'm
you.
not doing that.
I don't know, you want to keep this at a million. I know you've been below it
I
before.
think you're gonna,
And our growth isn't what it looks like. And I know the growth numbers aren't done. We're not up to July yet. I get that. But things are slowing down a little bit.
They are, and that's.
And that's why I would like to
why
preserve that money just a little bit longer.
Right, I'm just thinking about next year is gonna be even leaner
Yeah,
and.
and I'm
like
really gonna know
Randy
what I'm doing
said,
next year,
it's-
so you're
it's-
really screwed.
It's,
So-
as Randy said, this truck is gonna take us here to get.
Yeah,
I hear you, Joe. I hear you.
well, I'm just one person.
Okay.
There's three of you.
yeah, we voted at the last meeting to let you guys hammer it out, so I don't know all of the other. And I'm not trying to skate, I'm just. you
No,
guys-
we
I
really
don't know
didn't beat
what
much
else
up. We
came
didn't
out of that
really
meeting,
beat much
so-
up.
Right.
Quite honestly, we didn't.
I
We
thought
didn't.
we had agreed,
Well, Mr. Fox. How are you today?
apparently. We had a failure to communicate.
No, I heard you loud and clear. I did. I
This is
just,
obviously
Well, it
why
still
it's
has to
good to
pass
vote
the
to
town
let him
meeting,
make
you
his
know.
decision.
Right.
Seek the recommendations, the town has to pass it.
right. But I have to make that recommendation, right? Yeah, Mr. Fox, how are you today?
Good.
I know. But I mean, it could go either way.
It could. I,
Could go either way at town meeting. either.
Well, I mean, finance committee, have you guys voted on your recommendations to town meeting yet?
no,
So I mean, obviously that would be,
tomorrow night.
I think you need to come out of this meeting with a consensus.
We do.
Of what we're gonna do.
We
I-
absolutely
would
do.
not,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be good.
And I'm not
it wouldn't
gonna-
Be good governance.
And I'm
right,
not gonna
for-
do that tomorrow.
that
What we
just
do,
wouldn't
we
be good
do.
governance,
Yeah,
Right, if we've all agreed on something and then.
right. Understood.
You know, I mean, that
Yeah.
just wouldn't be. Wouldn't be the right way to do it. I
Well,
mean, I-
obviously
we
I
need
don't
to
have the
talk, it's gonna be
votes,
a
so we'll
year.
take the coin flip.
I was kidding about that. I
Oh.
don't think we should govern by a coin flip either. I think we should,
Well, I think it made good press.
I'm sure it would, but I don't think it's the kind of press we're all looking for, right?
Oh,
think
I don't
we-
have a problem with it.
No, I think we really need to just debate it. I mean, it's close enough to a. We've
I-
been. we've
How do
been
we
on
get
the
this
side
to a
of the
million?
bucks.
I know. How do we, yeah, but by that much?
And exactly where's the number? 800 something.
How much salt you got?
We have right now,
Oh, you're killing me.
we have about, 700 tons, I want to 600.
What did you go in?
Hold about 25, 26.
I'm sorry,
The salt shed will hold 25 to 26,000, 2,600 tons.
and what did you go into the winter with?
We're down to about 5 or 6 tons.
Were you, we had
We were
2,500 going in?
we were all-
He was full.
We were pretty close.
He was full.
Yeah.
So this is a replenishment of what you used
Yep.
over the winter, straight up.
Yep.
Even though it was a lean year from snow wise, we saw a lot of ice events where we had.
Yeah,
to
we
go
sure
out
did.
and-
Yeah, it doesn't
That's
take
not
much.
something we
ice
want to
up.
run low. on.
No, no, no. Hey, I fight my fight, right?
Point taken. I'm okay with where we are, I think.
Okay.
I think it's close enough to $1 million. Obviously, we can't go any further. And we're just gonna have to be, and we all know next year, and we've been talking about it for 5 years, the school budget is gonna blow us up next year.
Right.
There's no doubt. So I think we gotta get in what we can get in now and and especially with this being a 1-year lead time. Or else we could move it to the annual and borrow, but I don't think that solves your
It doesn't
problem.
solve my problem.
You're already doing. We couldn't find any.
Correct, so I mean, just
We
adding on.
couldn't
to
find
that,
anything anywhere else. There was nothing else to kind of like play with.
And it's not like there's a municipality that went out of business and we can find one sitting on a rental lot fully loaded for town
Yeah.
duty, so,
Green.
yeah, and green. But whatever color, it
Okay.
doesn't matter.
Moving on.
Moving
All
on.
right, so that's that.
Let's go back to the time of the special town meeting, because on the annual, you got 6:30 and we know we can't start till 7. So the special is at,
Bylaw.
Well, Ben, I think Ben said we could start at 6:30. He's just has an article to make the change going on later.
okay,
Point of order, I think. Wouldn't an article passed at this town meeting affect subsequent town meetings?
Well,
Not
we're
the
still under
town
the
meeting.
emergency order.
And the emergency order allows you to vary the time of the town meeting?
But the town meeting says it has been doing that for years under the COVID.
okay,
I don't know, I never
So
paid any money.
that's why that's left to town council to determine.
okay. When's the special? Miss,
When is the special, 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock. Okay, just for clarification, the special is gonna be at 6
It's right on the
o'clock.
draft line.
Okay, we're moving on to the annual town meeting, which begins at 6:30 PM.
Well, yes, it'll begin once we get everything. It should be around 6:30 then, as long as we're under the emergency, we'll start it probably around 6:30. Yeah, that's what it says right here.
Okay,
Might be a couple minutes after the
all right.
time we open the warrant.
And Celeste, you're talking about doing some changes this year? to-
Yes.
Because we
so-
have over 30 articles.
Well, just to change a couple traditional things, typically the moderator reads all the articles and that really does not need to be done. Everybody will has a printed copy and we'll make sure that everyone has a printed copy. I actually reached out to the planning board and the CPC, and if they want to make a motion and read their articles, they can, but if not, we'll just make a motion as it appears written. I'm actually working to maybe get it, projected, get an overhead projector, make a PowerPoint presentation and get it on the overhead. So whatever article we, can be projected, but I haven't finalized that yet. But, it'll be there. I feel there's much more value in the discussion. If you guys are the select board presenting something, if they do discussion, DPW questions. CPC can better explain what their funds are than me reading an article verbatim. I think there's more value in that discussion and questions. We're gonna keep doing a voice vote. We've kind of debated this. There's a few of us, including Doug and I, who like to hear the voices. But we could move to a raising hand count. Raising hands without physically doing a count. Last year, we had a vote that went 107 to 36. And you couldn't tell what it was. But if we just did a raise hands, we'd be able to tell without going to a count. That could save us time. And if we can't determine from there, then we can go to a count and then move on with our other procedures. But But that should save us some time and give us more time to, I really feel the value is more in the discussion than a verbatim conversation. It's important.
And town council be authoritative on some of that too, when you'll look to him if it's on a hand vote and it's 100-4 and it's
Exactly.
obvious, but if it's,
When you're like 100 to 50, it's in that auditorium, it's very hard to tell the difference, but you'd be able to see it if it's in a hand. Especially on a simple majority.
Yeah,
That'll
Ben's there,
save
he's
you
the
some time.
resource person. to
Correct.
Help her assist the moderator.
And
Correct.
have Michelle do the calculations for the 2 periods vote. So. Yeah, we'll be good. I think it'll go well. I think we can keep it to one night. I'd love to see more families come out with younger children. I want to see the older people who want to stay for town meeting for all the articles be able to stay. Not be, keep within a reasonable amount of time.
Okay,
intermission.
No,
Will there be intermission?
A bake sale?
Bake
no,
sale?
there is, I'm sorry, I'm not.
I was campaigning hard for that.
I know, are you gonna bake for it?
If that's what it takes, you guys would not want to eat what I bake, but
okay, moving right along. We can combine some of these articles that we've done, some of the
We'll do the
housekeeping
consent
articles,
agenda, yeah.
okay?
We can pull out if necessary. If someone wants to pull out, we can hold on something.
Right, I mean, 2, 3, 4,
There's only 4. I
and
believe.
5
Right. Is
are
there 5?
are normally well, no, I'm saying Article 2, Article 3, Article 4,
Right,
Article 5, a lot of times we combine that.
yes. that would
And
be
the
right.
consensus on that,
Yeah.
because they're pretty self-explanatory. There's something we do at every single annual town meeting. We're free to answer questions. Anybody has a question, but that helps to get through that. Now, what I mentioned at previous meetings here, people have reached out to me, knowing that there's over 30 articles. They would prefer to have some of the articles that might be controversial moved ahead. So that particularly some older folks that would like to participate and don't want to be there at 10 or 11 or 12 o'clock at night, So I would like to move some of the articles that and I mentioned in particular Article 23, 31, 32, and 33 prior to Article 9, so that we can have a discussion while people are fresh and relaxed.
which ones are those? Did you say?
I pulled out, and this is for discussion. This is up to the board, Mr. Mogul and Mr. Perone, but I pulled out 23, 31, 32, and 33 as articles I thought would,
Are those also the borrowing authorizations?
One's a zoning bylaw for short-term rental.
One's cannabis, one's cannabis.
31 is non-medical marijuana, 32 is citizen petition. And 33 is citizen petition.
All right, so the 2 citizen petitions, the cannabis marijuana one and the short-term rentals would be the 4 that you want, because these are not in any particular
Right,
order later
correct,
on.
right.
So this is where you're doing this now, you're setting the order,
Right.
which is your prerogative for finalizing the warrant.
Devil's advocate.
go ahead.
So I have no objection to moving around, but I do want to, a couple of years ago, maybe it was longer than I care to remember, there was a controversial issue on the agenda. And folks came in, asked to move the question from second to last to first, voted on it, and then we were counting people left to see if we still had a quorum, including for the budget and the school budget. So I don't think that there's any article that's on a town meeting warrant that deserves any less consideration by town meeting. That's why they're in front of the town to vote. Including the budget, which, as we just saw here, government in action, the government sets the policy for, the budget sets the policy for the year, right? So there's spending priorities and spending dollar amounts in here that are laid out by the finance committee and the select board that implement policy being set forward. But, having spent a few years on the planning board, at the end of it always seems that the planning board and zoning articles are always at the end. Just because of how they come out of committee and they end up at the end and they get considered, but to a much smaller crowd than what's there at the beginning, and usually my concern is that if we take out, again, just playing devil's advocate, if you move those up to the front, I hope that people stick around for, articles that are also very important to the operation of the town and that are effectual to a lot of people, whether it's the the high-speed internet one, or, I don't know, off-street parking and loading, residential common drive, and those are just zoning ones, but I'm just saying, any even municipal aggregation of electrical load, if that doesn't move and that suddenly is the last article on the warrant, I hope that there's still a crowd here for it.
And who's to say one citizen's petition is more, because there is another citizen's petition? And who's to say that one citizen's petition is not as important?
See, now I'm up for a coin flip, right?
Yes.
If they came-
Oh,
if they
now we
came
got
in-
a coin flip.
Another person
Jesus.
has a citizen's petition, and who's to say that one citizen?
That's not on the article now, or that's already here?
No, that's on the warrant.
Right, but I mean, there's two of them.
There's three citizens petitions.
Three, sorry.
And who's to say that two of the citizens petitions are more important than the
Right.
third citizen's petition?
But if you take them 1, 2, 3, or 3, 2, 1, at least they're handled in a row at some point in the agenda. I don't see half the audience walking out after the second one. I just don't see it, but that's just, again, that's not my opinion. That's just devil's advocate. When you move stuff up,
Absolutely,
we just seen it happen.
absolutely. I
It's
just,
also disruptive to town meeting, right? As the moderator is now reading or going through the next article and there's 80 people walking out.
Right.
It's kind of hard to run the meeting.
It is, I absolutely agree. Not that I've ever done it, but I can see how it would be very disruptive.
So if I understand it, so we've already got one is the election, 2 through 5 are the consent votes. And you were thinking about moving up 23, 31, 32, and 33, which is just there holding placeholders on this draft
Right.
agenda up. And then are you putting the 3 borrowings after them and before the budget?
no, I,
Or are you putting the borrowings before that?
all I was trying to do was get articles that people had expressed an opinion to me that they'd like to attend.
Right.
And particularly some of the older folks. And I thought if we did some of these articles, not all of them, some of them prior to the budget, we might be able to accomplish that, plus still have people for the budget process.
Right, but the borrowing authorizations have to be before the budget because it's debt service payments. So
All right.
those, it's in the budget.
Then we could always do the debt service first,
It's the borrowing authorization.
right, borrowing out.
Right,
Yeah.
so what I'm asking you is, are those gonna be before these 4 you just moved up or after those, but before the budget?
I would say before the budget.
So it's after these other ones. you just
Correct.
moved up. Okay,
Right.
the 3 borrowing.
That would be my suggestion.
And I agree, just in totally zone. There are 3 citizen petitions, so I would move 28, whatever you do with 2, you gotta do 3.
Yep.
So 28 needs to be on your list.
All right,
sir.
then we'll
Which
change.
one is 28?
Citizen petition, zoning map amendment.
Yeah, but that's not the same form of a petition like the other ones are. That's more of a landowner application petition. That's not.
It's still a citizen's petition.
Right, but
And if we're gonna be up here splitting, just, again,
those have
we can't,
never
I know, but we
been
can't,
at the front of the wall.
I get it. So then they gotta be together, but I
Well, they
think,
don't
I
have
agree
to
with, I agree with Celeste here. I think she's right. You have 3 citizen petitions. And I think if we start splitting hairs as to, oh, this kind of citizen petition versus that kind of citizen petition, we're, I don't know if we're making an impression or whatever, but we shouldn't.
Yeah,
them together.
I don't refer to that one as a citizen petition. It's more like a land.
I'm just reading the warrant and it says citizen petition. So someone else, a layperson in the audience reading this goes, how come this one's at 11:30 at night and these 2 are at?
Yeah, that one has a
6:25?
private personal
I get it.
financial issue. These
Well,
other ones are.
One could argue, again, devil's advocate, one could argue that one of those also has a personal aspect to it. Right? And that it's being done for personal reasons or not. I don't know. I'm not one of the citizens making that proposal nor a signatory to it. But I don't want to cast aspersions as to what the motivation was behind that. So I would just keep them together just in the interest of being consistent.
All right, Jason, any problems with 23, 28,
Before the budget,
32, 33?
I don't want to before the budget personally. I'd like to have the budget set and then be able to have those brought with explanation.
All right, let's try to come to some consensus. Mogul,
We should do Article 1 first.
Okay, we agree on Article 1 first. We agree on 2, 3, 4, and 5 as together.
I think you can move 6 later, if you really wanted to. It's kind of, I don't think there'll be some questions on it, but it's something we really don't, we need to do.
I wouldn't have a problem moving things up to anywhere after the budget is where I'd like to see those things moved. Is like, again, like Mr. Moblin said, like the Allen treatment debt service, that's a pretty common one that's been going on. I don't think that the Bronze Memorial plaques, the spray park, that's a different thing.
13 doesn't have to be done before the budget, Carl? Because that's the debt service that's in the budget.
Actually,
Is that the school budget?
No, that's the Allen Treatment Debt Service.
No, that's coming from CPA money.
okay.
That's why it's a separate, all the CPA articles should be grouped together.
Gotcha. So it's there, the debt
That's
service
not,
is not
that's not a
affecting.
principal and, well, Laura, no, that's a separate appropriation. That's why it stands on its own as opposed to being in that line. But like number 7, the changing of the let's see.
The veterans.
I'll play devil's
Oh, no, the
advocate.
veterans, that
on
one's
that.
fine, but
on that too.
obviously when you get into issues relating to the revolving accounts, you know, where you're establishing one for the cruiser thing, you have to have that in front of the full sheet of different revolving account articles.
Do we foresee that, would it make sense to move the CPA articles down and then pull your others right in front of there? Because then you've got people, it's almost like a lead-in commercial preview to other things.
I would not be opposed to that.
All right, so we're gonna do,
So I would, you
We
could
can-
insert
we-
those up in front of before 12. Sorry, before 11, after 10,
What are you putting in?
what Russ said.
The 9 CPC articles are gonna be before the school budget?
Well, we've got the
We wouldn't
budget,
do
where's
that.
budget. Budget is 10 is the departmental, well, you can shuffle this around, you can move the budget up. And then the school budget. Then those, then CPA, then zoning. And hopefully we can hold a quorum to. Article. 36 and 36 is a borrowing authorization, that has to be before the budget, you said, right?
Yeah,
But it's right now, it's 35 and 36.
I mean,
right?
except, well, to the extent that the Muni Fiber one doesn't, because you're using
So
ARPA
put-
funds for that.
I would suggest that you put those two together. So just to make things even more complicated,
You mean the MLP vote?
yeah, the MLP vote should go with the bonding issue, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to have that. It makes sense to have them together as a. As a
Right,
pair.
the second article should be before the first MLP borrowing.
Correct. And where is that?
Hmm.
22. So 22. And 36 should go together. I don't care where they go. If you want to put those at the end to save time or put them right before the zoning,
Okay,
that's fine. But to clear space for the others,
right, because the other two
Okay.
borrowing authorizations are the roads,
yes,
and that's gonna be what, the road bond is 1 billion,
It is.
and the DPW truck is 318,000.
and you know what, 34 should be absolutely last. Because that would be proving the point when we're there at 12:30.
Yeah.
I'm joking, Celeste, but to move up the time by law of the annual. To an earlier start time of, some reasonableness, I think we'll talk about that when we get to it. But to a reasonable time would be the last article would be just bloody appropriate.
right, we either take it up on that Tuesday or the following Wednesday.
You know. I really want to encourage people to come to read the warrant ahead of time, to watch what Russ's presentation. And to be prepared coming in. I think we can do this in a reasonable amount of time.
I do too, but I just think it just would prove the point out to move up the meeting, because by statute, if we weren't under the COVID rules, this meeting would have to start at 7. Even that half hour, we're gonna get back on the front. This will memorialize it and say, okay, we're here at whatever time. If we had started at 7 o'clock, it'd be a half hour later than it is right now.
Mr. Cronin, are you in agreement with Mr. Mogul's suggestion?
Yes.
Carl, did you understand Mr. Mogul's suggestion?
About taking the current draft 34 and making that number 37. That's easy,
And all the others suggestions he's made.
you know.
Okay.
Well, we're gonna produce a new draft for you tomorrow through town council, and then we'll, you know, because we have.
But this has to post Friday and we're not meeting again, so we need to get this square.
You know,
Okay,
so.
all right. So Carl is going to make sure that any of the bonding issues are appropriately placed.
Well, that'll only be 2 of them now that Doug had mentioned that the MLP could be later on, the borrowing for the MLP should be later on in the agenda. Along with the authorization of the municipal light plant, which should actually come right before that, because if the second vote of the MLP isn't done, the borrowing authorization is moot.
Right.
Correct. But I just think they should go together.
Right, but you don't
Isn't
care
that-
where they are, in
No,
each
I-
other, as
right.
long as it's not numbered
Okay.
97.
But then we'll do the annual budget first, and then we'll move on to the other articles. Right?
Fine with me.
Well, you could,
That's, yeah. That's
you're gonna
fine.
do the other borrowings before the town budget.
Correct.
Mr. Perone said to do the budget before we do the citizen petitions. So right after the budget, we do the citizen petitions, then
Well, that's
CPC.
not the order that he's suggesting it, but you haven't agreed to
Well,
that.
I guess that's the discussion, isn't it?
Right, I think,
So now you're changing the order again.
Who's on first?
I have no problems with that. Okay. You know, we'll do the.
That's what
annual-
I'd like to see for like the reasons you said. It gives, I think, more people the chance to be there for the things that may be important to the people, like both the youth and the older folks.
There you go.
So those are gonna come after the budget.
Correct.
Yes.
Why don't we just make a quick list? Take a minute, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's easy. Okay? You want to leave the wastewater right where it is?
No, that can go towards the end.
Okay, so let's put that aside.
Okay.
Acceptance of mass general law for the
That-
veteran work off program.
That's. I think that can go towards the end also, correct?
Okay? 8, revolving accounts. That needs to stay because it needs to get done before the budget.
Correct. So that becomes Article 6.
Okay? 8. Well, I'm gonna write them down in the order that they're written right now.
Okay,
So right now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9.
okay,
Okay? 10,
That's the revolving one, Tim?
that's the reauthorization of the revolving. Map.
Well, that's the amendment to it.
Yeah, the amendment. Okay, and then where do you want to put the school budget? Right there? Or where's,
yeah,
Well, you haven't put the budget in there. Well, so the amendment would be number
no,
10, so your town budget becomes number 11, Doug?
no, 9. And keep the article numbers the same, because or else you'll torture yourself. So I have Article 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
8, 9, 10. Okay, so 9 is the budget. 10 is the revolving fund annual spending limit authorization. Okay? You want to do the school budget right after that and then the citizen petitions?
correct.
There you go. So where's the school budget? Give me the number.
19,
Thank you.
so we're going 10, 19.
10, 19. And then what are your citizen
20,
petitions? sir?
what did you say, 23,
23, 28, 31, 32, 33.
Lord, 23,
28,
28,
32, and 33?
32, and I don't know which one is which, because I'm not even gonna look, so how they just came out is how they came out.
Yep.
Okay, so then we're on, then you go to the CPC ones, right?
And then what, 9 of those?
Yeah,
In order, Mr. Mullen, 11, 12.
Why not?
12. Yeah.
okay, so 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'll share this with everybody now. We'll try to keep that. 16. 17, 18.
And
We already got
19.
19.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we got
So we
to
got
do
20.
20 after 19.
You got 20, right?
We got it. Okay, and then we already got. We didn't do 21, so here's a logical place for 21.
What's the title of that one?
Yeah.
That's the aggregation.
Okay.
Keep it interesting. 6. 7. So now we're caught up with all the numbers through 21. Oh, boy. Oh, 20, 22 is the Airbnb.
No, mine is municipal lighting plant.
Oh, sorry. 22 and 20, 22 and 36, right?
Right.
I'm gonna hold those together.
22 and 26 come next, right?
So it would be 23.
And E.
And all these goes aside, 23. And then, look at that, go 4 pages with that. Then 24,
Yeah.
25, 26, 27. 28's already on there. 29,
24 through 29, 30, those are
30.
all the planning board ones.
yeah. 30,
You're not keeping them at the beginning anymore, okay?
We moved up 31, 32, and 33.
35,
31, 32.
22, 36. 37, 34. Anybody have bingo? Did I get them all, Leah?
All right,
That's my proposal.
and you're gonna share that with us.
Let's flip a coin. Yes, I'll share this with everybody.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, if you want to move any of them around
No,
there. and
no.
Quite an exercise.
I mean, we have quite a few articles. Just,
We haven't had to go through an exercise this in years.
I know it. No. We're just trying to make sure that people that want to express their opinions.
I have one other comment on the warrant. Are we moving off the warrant or?
No, we're
There's
still
more
on the
stuff to
warrant.
work? Okay. I'll come to it when we come to it.
What, go
Not
ahead.
article. Article number 36. No matter where it is on the agenda,
So that number, right?
is requested by the select board, not by the HSIC. The HSIC did not meet and vote on that. That was
Okay,
my
That's what we can-
proposal that was
all right,
adopted by this board.
got it.
I don't want to misrepresent the board.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, so that's gotta come off then. Maybe she should.
It was just requested by the select board.
Yeah, well, I just thought originally they had already ruled on it when they created the other
And I
bylaw.
went back to my notes, but I don't think we ever voted to propose that we borrow any particular amount.
Okay. And you guys are working already on the pros and cons for any of the monetary issues, correct?
We sure are.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we will be posting by this Friday, correct?
That's
Okay,
the hope, yeah.
all right. Then Celeste and I will start doing our dog and pony show of going over the articles and trying our best to explain to people. And also talk about some of the new methods that we're going to be using, clarifying the times and locations of the meeting.
Yeah, Ken is making himself available early next week for those days to do that.
Okay,
So you just need to let him know when you'll be available.
you got it.
And Robin and Lisa and I are working on the warrant article explanations.
Good.
I think Doug, you owe us a few.
I owe you
Dave,
too.
us a few, but we're gonna need those for next week. So
That was one of my questions. When you need them by.
All right.
Do you need those to record your thing? Or you're good?
Yeah, and they also get, they're part of the package of the handouts of town meeting. They go on the webpage.
When you,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, when you're starting your
It's posted
video.
Friday, so we'll probably be beginning
Next week.
probably Monday, Tuesday, something like
Sounds
that.
good. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Right. Get it done.
Yeah, just set some times. I gotta let Ken know.
Okay, I'll work with Celeste and we'll come up with time. All right, any other issues on this?
I'm gonna keep my mouth quiet. You leave it there.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to thank you,
Hypothetically, heads or tails?
Chaos.
We will meet at the high school. I have a plan to meet at the high school. I know it was pretty much just Ken, I, and the ITG head to
The Monday walkthrough.
the Monday kind of walk through it. And if anyone feels like they just want to see what's going on, you're more than welcome. Kind of will get all that handled. They talk about a lot of technical
Right.
microphone, camera stuff. And
Right.
I nod. Yep, that'll work.
Right.
Just make sure they have an American flag.
I will talk to the custodial staff on that.
Okay.
I always talk to them about it and they always make sure. I can
Okay.
still
You got a
text.
guy.
I got a guy.
Okay,
I got a guy. Yeah.
Can be at that meeting? No.
It's usually the high school guys run the meeting.
Right,
on the
right, right,
AV
right.
side.
Right.
Well,
They're
that's-
probably gonna broadcast it or film it, right?
That's what I was
usually
asking.
Ken.
Carl? Is Ken planning to, we should record the special and the annual,
Yeah, doesn't he put them on YouTube?
but is Ken scheduled for that already and booked and that's all set?
Yes, for him
Because
to,
they've been a great resource for reviewing
Yes,
historical stuff, like there's a
he's been invited. That's part of his function. is to
fantastic.
Provide the,
Just
in
making
fact,
sure.
I think he's coming Monday afternoon.
that's what I was getting at.
Yeah,
I was
making
thinking
sure.
that, yeah. Good, okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
So did you want to
Those
go
that
over the
repeat
budget
history
with
are
them? I
due
mean,
to-
you have the budget.
Repeat it or whatever.
And we will go over.
You know, this is the finalized one that you worked out, Russ, after the selectmen's reconciliation meeting,
The
the
budget.
full boards,
Okay,
and I believe it.
Yep,
Laura
we
made
laid
all
out,
the
right?
adjustments, and of course, it does reflect
I have,
your,
like, do I have two copies? Do I have your copy?
now I have,
I might have snuck in a different one.
yeah, no, Lisa provided a copy.
well, I was,
It was an updated one,
Joe was just,
but you had taken.
Pulling
your
out
mail
the-
over.
Right, but they're-
Yeah, I know that's
Sitting
what the
here
sheet
right
that you
now.
actually
Yeah, so
wanted.
one of them, it's just cleaned up language,
okay,
okay?
No, I got you, but
The
I have one
bottom
in my
line,
folder.
guys, the bottom line.
is that, this one is probably the, you know,
The cherry sheet is.
I
what
don't
they
think
call
we
it back
need
in
to
the
go
day.
through line item by line
Right.
item, because there was only, there weren't that many other items that we needed to work out. You know,
No,
Right.
so,
no. The biggest thing is, the porta potties and the camera is now coming out of,
that's coming up under,
Right,
Oh,
got taken
I'm
out of
sorry.
the budget draft.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
selectmen are gonna fund it through our,
you talk about that later.
right,
right, that's on your agenda.
Yep, that's fine.
correct. So this is what Mr. Didi and the town accountant and the CAO, assistant CAO, and I forget who else was here,
The accounting professionals.
counting.
Yeah.
So this is what we came up with. I think it's a reasonable a budget to recommend to the citizens of the town of Southwick.
As a board, you guys really need to get in front of the school problem. You truly do sooner than later, because it's not gonna happen overnight. Whether it's the trade school part of it, or just the numbers don't work, we know that. And I know they can sit there and hope, like we all do, that funding sources come available under rural county, whatever they were talking about, but there's no guarantees there.
No,
So you
Yeah.
really gotta get in front of this.
no, and they have to understand that.
And I think,
you know,
I don't think anyone's fighting it. We
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, I
as the
mean,
other two towns, you're literally just gonna have to come together and figure this out, because next year it's gonna be in a balanced budget. It'll be a level funded budget for the town of Southwick and whatever the school
Yeah.
wants, and we're gonna be right at the same numbers. Because we were at 600 grand. Doug's thinking it's 1.2 million next year.
Yeah.
I think talking to Jason or today, thinks it's
By
about
the
$1 million. Well, yeah, because the Easter,
Oh, the ESSER fund.
ESSER
Well,
funds
call it
are
what
gone,
you
all
want.
the ARPA money's gone. They're
there's
still
600
gonna
grand in ESSER funds they're using this year. So if those programs continue, which
Right,
they,
'cause I
which
think
they
they're
would
under
love
a
to.
deadline.
Wonderful.
But it. And the Educational Opportunity Act is
Yeah.
gonna blow out the bottom of the budget, so
Right.
you're gonna,
Yeah,
it's not good.
just
Right,
gotta
it's
get in
not
front of it.
conducive to communities. That's-
We're fortunate, we have a member of the school committee in the audience. Mr. Chubb, did you want to make any comment concerning that?
I would love to, however, I don't want to speak out of turn and say something that, could be
Yeah.
wrong, but again, I will say the budget that was brought forward to the board has been really changed. I can say it's something that, it's costly, but, and I'll use the network as one of them, it's needed. No, so I'll just say that.
And those warrant articles are in the documents, we just. went
They are.
through. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and the capital vote, so it will be on a posted warrant, and it'll be voted.
Thank you, Pat.
Just
All
my
right.
opinion.
I mean, I think one of the things that Jason had done some research is, of the member communities, you get to designate one of your board members to be involved with the schools. And I don't know, that used to be under the Education Reform Act, so I'm not sure whether or not that authorization still exists under the new school laws, but
We will check into it and find
that
out.
would be something.
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
And,
One of your members could be designated to him.
okay,
In the past, they did do that, but talking to Jason today, it was over the union negotiations. I was
Right,
able
because
to
Joe used to go to those.
go through
Right.
those.
It wouldn't be, what I've looked into, it wouldn't be like a voting member, it would be
Right.
like an ex officio type oversight thing. So, and that's, as Mr. Didi said, and I know Mr. Joe's being right up front, it would be beneficial to have everybody be able to kind of talk ahead of time. So, say,
all right. We thank you very much. If we don't see you sooner, we'll see you on the town meeting floor.
I'll bring my coin.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I forgot one thing, and while the moderator is here, I just wanted to bring it up. Under Article 34. It says to see if the town will vote to amend the town code, yada, yada, delete out, cross out wording, and replace, and it deletes 7 o'clock at a time to be determined by the select board. I believe that we should add something to the effect of but no earlier than, right? Give people a chance to get out of work and get to a town meeting. I don't want anyone to cast aspersions or say that, oh, the select board did this so they can call a town meeting for 2 a.m. or 8 a.m. or 4 p.m. I think this should be no earlier than, let's just say 6 o'clock. To give everybody more than enough flexibility than what we would ever use today, or even if you said 5 o'clock, but it shouldn't be just at a time determined by the select board.
Okay.
If there's no objection for discussion,
Any problem?
No objection at all.
Like
No.
5:30.
5 o'clock, 5:30, whatever. It should be give
5:30, I
people a
think,
chance
gives
to
you
get
that
out of work
middle
and get
ground.
to a
Yeah.
town meeting.
Okay. Can we add that? For
Yep.
agreement, 5:30?
Yep.
Okay.
Vote
Refer to the moderator.
Vote number 37.
Actually very reasonable.
Yeah. All right. We're going on. First thing is acknowledge.
You give your thing to Robin, she's gonna go copy that now, the ordering of the votes.
Done.
All of it.
Okay. All right, acknowledge payroll warrant number 2323 dated 4/10/23 in the amount of $262,085.06. Acknowledge payables warrant number 2327B dated 4/18/23 in the amount of $470,734.61. Need a motion to accept the open session minutes dated 4/10/23.
Doug Moglen, so moved.
Jason Perone seconded,
Roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Moglen, aye.
Jason Perone, aye.
All right, acknowledge special payables warrant number 2328B dated 4/20/23 in the amount of $127. Okay, we're going over on to action items.
Did we accept the open session minutes, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah. Okay, did. Okay, the first thing up is to approve a one-day liquor license for the, well, actually, it's a one-day liquor license, Southwick Rotary Concert Series, seven. It looks like it'll be 7/12, 7/19, 7/26, 8/2, 8/9, 8/16, 8/23, and a rain date of 8/30. Due to the fact that the select board is a corporate member of the Southwick Rotary, we have to enact the rule of necessity. So with that rule enacted, I'd ask for a motion.
Doug Mogul will make that motion to approve a one-day liquor license for the Southwick Rotary Summer Concert Series on July 12th, July 19th, July 26th, August 2nd, August 9th, August 16th, August 23rd, and a rain date of August 30th.
I will second the motion.
Okay, roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Perone, aye.
Okay. All right, the next is a letter from the Rotary concerning their summer music on Wednesday night. We have always made a donation out of our gift account to help support this community event. It's well attended, all types of music on different Wednesday nights. It's been very successful. What's the pleasure of the board?
Again, with the rule of necessities continually invoked, we make a motion that we do the same thing we did last year.
Okay, I believe it's $100 donation out of the gift account. Need a
I
second?
will second that and hopefully be able to make some of these.
Okay. Roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Perone, aye.
Okay. Appointment to the Southwick Fire Department, and we have Chief Stefanowitz here. Chief, would you like to join us, please? And you have an individual that you'd like to recommend?
So Anthony has already been with us, so this is a reappointment after a leave of absence. So he had finished his schooling and has been working as a physician's assistant down in Connecticut. And he's adjusted well to his new position and he'd like to come back onto the department. And that was the anticipation all along, was that once he got situated, he'd be able to join us. Anthony's there's a lot of per diem shifts for us. He's currently living in Windsor. But I spoke with him the other day and he felt really good that he could certainly give us the time for the EMS side as well as even fire responses at night. So the tested employee was with us for 4 years, hated to lose him, but we're very fortunate to have him coming back.
And it's Anthony Angata.
Angata.
Angata. Okay, I need a motion.
Doug Mogul will gladly make that motion for Anthony and got it.
I will gladly second that motion.
Roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Perone, aye.
Okay, next thing, Chief, you're requesting authorization, 3 call force lieutenant positions due to retirements and relocation.
Right, so it's more or less a procedural process at this point to fill some open vacancies, given the number of officers that we've had in the past. We've had 2 that have left for retirement, 1 for relocation, and it's just time to start building up the bench again. So we have some good qualified candidates in-house. It would probably be at this time advertising for 3 lieutenants and the possibility of 1 captain from the current lieutenant corps. So all those things would happen concurrently.
Okay. Carl, do we need to vote on this as fire commissioners or?
Yeah, you're authorizing him to fill vacancies.
Okay, so accept the motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Perone, aye.
At the green light.
Good.
How's everything else going?
So far, so good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our next thing is public safety concerning the Ironman event that's going to be coming up.
So,
Chief Landis stepped out.
okay, that's okay. I had a good meeting late last week with Lieutenant Banish and Sergeant Miles to review the course itself, what the police presence would be, and kind of to seek out some information that they had. We had a very productive meeting today with the promoters as well as multi other agencies involved in it. So West Springfield Fire, Agawam Fire, Granville Fire, Southwick Fire, and yeah, that's all the departments. In Springfield was there, I'm sorry, Commissioner Calvi. So the progress is moving forward. There were some requests made today. The promoter is very accommodating to our requests, but there's still a lot to do. There are some procedural things that they need to nail down still, as well as what services we want to provide. I have two concerns. One is that there's going to be a large influx of people and a very competitive bike race going through some pretty tough roads. It's remote, so accessibility is difficult. The other is that as the bikers pass through the community, there'll be an impact on the flow of traffic. And I'm concerned that as they pass from, up Congamon Road, and again, when they start on the other side of 202, as well as all the traffic that's moving on through the other intersections, that it would make it difficult for call firefighters to respond. So we've petitioned to some degree with the promoters to try to cover the costs, and they're all on for it. So they said, yes, absolutely, whatever you need. The only other thing that's in question is how much EMS coverage we want to provide for the racers themselves. I think it's best in the best interest of the town to worry about protecting the town and let the agency handle the riders. So the plan right now is to have an outside ambulance service contracted to provide that service. They'll do that remotely as the race travels through town. In discussions with another fire chief today, he brought up a very good point. Chief Sorais from Agawam said, even though the race moves through your town in 2 hours, you still have a regional concern, because should there be some type of event in another community, you're going to pick your resources clean in minutes. So we want to make sure that we're adequately staffed for the duration. So what seems like only 4 hours passing through Southwick actually is an 8-hour race, even though it's happening in West Springfield or Westfield or Granville. So that's kind of one of the approaches we're taking right now. It's going to be a big event, about 4 hours to move through Southwick, depending on how successful the swim is and how quickly they mount up on the bikes and make their way through Agawam. But it takes about 4 hours for them to move through in the group. There's experienced riders and inexperienced riders, but then there's also the gatekeeper, if you would, who said, if you're not at this point right now, you're not going to finish the race. Thanks for joining. Jump on the bus. We'll take your bike back for you. So there's some of that happens as well too. So we know that by 12:15, I think was the time when they figured all the riders would be through Southwick. So the organization's been in touch with the DOT as far as the road closures are concerned for the highway. But we all haven't been together in a meeting, and so it's all groups working individually right now. We're working with MEMA to try to introduce a communications plan as well. So we're getting there. It's still a work in progress.
Chief Landis, did you want to make any comments, or Lieutenant Banish?
Lieutenant might be on right now. I know he's been tasked with this, so he's should be up to speed with most current info.
Lieutenant Banish, would you like to make any comment?
I really don't have a lot to add at this point. The fire chief pretty much covered everything that's most recent. I know we've got another, I believe, 2 meetings coming up in the future just to fine tune everything. From the policing aspect, I mean, we're looking at roughly, I believe, 20 detail officers we're going to need on that day. And like the fire chief said, there actually are no road closures per se. We're going to be giving the right of way to the bicycle traffic. That's our function. In the event that there is emergency and we've got to move emergency vehicles, obviously those are going to take precedent.
Okay, just for clarification for everybody, this is a Sunday morning. Okay. It is in the summer. So I think they've signed what, a 3-year contract. So if this goes through, they'll be doing this for another 2 years afterwards.
If it's successful, yeah, I think that was the understanding.
So
I envision it being very similar to the nationals in the sense that police and fire are going to have a whole set of conditions. So when you have to grant the permit for this event coming through town,
correct,
you're going to assign those conditions just like you do.
Right. And you're talking about the parade and procession.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, Rhett and the chief are going to be speaking to the the organizer, the race organizer people, and they have to submit that document to you so that you can approve it, just like we do with the motorcycle.
Okay,
The only thing I would recommend is if we have the capability on leading up to just do the code red alerts to let people know that would be happening.
absolutely, absolutely.
And you're talking about for the call force, you would treat it like a snow day a little bit.
Yeah,
You'd-
storm
you'd
detail,
order in at
exact
storm
same idea,
detail, like
yep.
7 AM.
Be here for 6, go
Yeah.
home at 12,
Yeah,
you know?
right.
And at least for the fire side of it.
That
And the
makes
EMS side, we're roughing the staff, the ambulance for until probably 4:30 when when the last rider legally finishes the race. And they'll all be congregating in Springfield, and then Springfield can handle it from there, the other side of the river. So not our concern at that point.
Those folks would have swum in the Springfield River a couple hours before getting to Southwick.
Mhm.
Check.
Yep.
Well, that's what I say when I look at the course. too.
Yeah.
It's quite a course. If you look at the map, there's a lot of uphill and a lot of rapid downhill. And that's my concern is coming down hillside, trying to make that turn on the sunny side. I think a couple
So
of people
their
are gonna
up is this way.
And
up this way into Granville coming down, so they come Will Palmer onto Hillside. Hillside into Westfield, but still mostly in Southwick. They make the turn in Westfield, but that's, I think we're gonna, where the rubber may leave the road.
That's a tough turn.
Oh, yeah, it is. Even in a car, it's tough at a
No,
stop sign.
Right.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
think we should also make sure that we do circle in DPW. I know we got a lot of time between now and August with pothole season amongst us,
Yeah.
but you know, make sure we do run that route out
Mhm.
before, just to make sure we.
Yeah, this race is
Check
in
anything.
June, isn't it?
It's in June.
Sorry,
I thought it was June.
Yeah.
20th.
June 11th.
June, but we still got.
June 11th.
Sorry, that was
Yep.
August.
We're
June,
working on those roads now.
yeah, I know. So
Yeah,
great.
well, that's why I want to make sure.
I just
they
want to make sure
get
everybody's
the
tied in.
Permit, they gotta kind of,
Mhm.
That's why
they're
Westfield
running out of
is working
Mondays
Very hard on theirs.
to get a permit.
Yeah, so, but this is the thing, it's multi-jurisdictional, multi-regional, and we're trying to get everybody in the same table. And that's been hard to do, because there's a lot of, I think a lot of times this agency comes in, they throw their event and most people don't even think twice about it. They run 4 or 5 a day worldwide. You know, so there's a race in Sao Paulo the same day as ours. And, you know, so they're definitely a global organization, so. Put
Like
us
a
on the map.
Brazilian of them.
Exactly. Very good.
Thank you, Chief.
Oh,
Chief
yeah.
Landis, anything? Or are you all set?
I just think there might be an increased uptick of riders leading up to it,
Mm,
riding the course ahead of time, so we
Good
might see
point.
that extra traffic.
Yeah.
A few days, they're already supposedly according to Lieutenant have started, but as people that travel further come out a couple days ahead of time, they're gonna be probably riding the course.
a really good point.
Right.
Probably see additional.
Not a hotel room to be found that weekend, so. Yeah, a lot of riders and spectators.
Mr. Dunlap, FEMA, or MEMA?
Okay, I just came from FEMA this afternoon. I would like to see, make sure that emergency management is included both in the nationals and in this Ironman race for the significant event that's going to take place here because of the Emergency Operations Center and anything major that happens that we are able to coordinate with the state.
Great idea.
All right, thank you, Charlie. All right, we thank you.
I had a funding question.
Oh.
Did we want to talk about that one too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
When we were reviewing the budget, we went back and forth on the cap.
Mhm.
And we feel that we need to, when we gave you ARPA money to do one vehicle, we'd like to change, I'd ask for a motion to change it to not just a cap, but for improvements to the vehicle. Is that correct?
Enhancements, lighting.
Enhancements, lighting.
Mhm.
So if we could have a motion to that,
Then the amount's already approved.
right?
Right.
Yeah, so move.
Seconded. We'll call vote. Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye.
So
Now.
that was for the 6,000, that's from an
Oh, I
earlier
should have
vote.
waited for the.
Correct.
Right.
Here it
Now,
is.
now here you go,
Here it
buddy.
comes, boy.
Now
you
you
have
know
a
why I
request.
saved a little ARPA.
Now you have a request out of the other 13,000.
Right. And it's request for 5,000.
So. Yes, it's complicated. So. The original. The $5,000 is already encumbered. So we have that.
Okay.
The problem was the cap that we were looking at was a utility type of bed insert that goes in the trucks, that big heavy duty toolboxes on it, and you can get a canopy that went over it and things like that.
Yeah.
That jumped in price significantly, okay? So we still have that $5,000 encumbered. I can purchase a truck cap different spec modified with the encumbered money, so that's not the concern. The $6,000, the ARPA money was gonna be dedicated towards the improvements on the new pickup truck. So there was an additional funding to pay for the new truck because the invoice price for the truck went up. That's already been taken care of. So I have $5,000 encumbered and $6,000 from ARPA funds. So a total of $11,000 to put towards the cap, but I'm gonna kind of split it, if you would. Use the $5,000 for the truck cap, which we found that will definitely serve our needs. And then the $6,000 would go to supplement what we thought we'd be able to cover with general budget items for the radios, the warning, and the decaling of the new pickup truck.
Okay. So what additional monies?
I don't need additional monies right now.
Okay. Even better. Even better. Thank you very much. We have finally cleared that up,
Total monies needed out of ARPA was.
6,000,
which they already got.
Out of the 13,
no. This
you
is
already
from-
had it from the previous ARPA allocation.
Right. They got it last fall, Doug.
Right. So you
The
still have
former chief
13,000,
had petitioned. for-
Well, for a little while,
comma.
for a little while. Okay. All right, so you're all set.
Good.
Okay,
Thank
thank you very much.
All
All right, moving right along. The next thing is invitation from the American Legion for the Memorial Day Parade on Monday, 5/29/23. It'll kick off at 10 a.m. across from the Summer House. Proceed down to the Veterans Memorial at the Town Green. After a ceremony there, they will take a motorcade to the old cemetery and then a motorcade to the new cemetery for a short service. Okay, so we need a motion to approve the parade.
Doug Mogul, so moved.
Jason Peron will second.
Roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, see what you can do about the weather that they're telling.
yes, yes.
Appreciate
At least it's not Veterans Day and snow. Usually. All right.
it.
Review ARPA money. Okay. So now that we've saved on the fire department, I'm gonna make a suggestion that due to the weather and due to the fact that I don't want to see the Conservation Commission wait until July 1st. I'd like to use some of the ARPA money for the porta potty to have it installed in May and June and for the remainder of the season. And also the purchase of trail cameras and batteries if necessary. So I'm going to suggest an amount of not to exceed 5,000.
Doug Mogul, so moved.
Jason Peron seconded.
Okay, roll call vote. Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye.
Okay, Carl, can you
And
know?
that's coming out of the 13,704.
Right.
Correct.
For those keeping score at home, that's 8 left.
All right, and if you could please notify the Conservation Commission so they could proceed to get a porta potty out there. Randy, thank you
Is that
for
buildings
the,
and grounds, or is that actually the Conservation Commission gonna do it?
I'll let them work it out, but I think they should be notified, you know, especially about the trail cameras. Randy, thank you for the work DPW did out there fixing that parking area and the drainage. It looks a lot better.
I will not take credit, but that was not DPW. That was it's an agreement that Concom had with the local contractor.
Ah,
Up their debts.
okay, good. Oh, well, that's even better.
No cost of that.
Okay. Well, thank you to those people. Mr. Dedes, Chairman of the Finance Committee.
I did reach out to conservation in regard to the porta potty. They had some concerns about doing it, even though it was in the budget. They're a little nervous about if there's any vandalism, and I did let them know that we both agree that if it does get knocked over a few times, it's leaving.
Right,
And they were great with that.
Right.
They didn't want it to go on all summer
Right.
if there was vandalism.
right. Again, like we discussed during the budget hearing, Chief Landis, the Fire Department, Conservations, Board of Selectmen, in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We have a plan. Is it gonna be perfect? I don't know. Is it going to help? I don't know, but we're gonna try to do something to address some of the challenges that we faced last year.
Can you put a trail cam on the back of that? Not to be in the entrance, but the back of that,
We're,
keep awareness, so if it is vandalized, you will capture that.
It's okay.
we have a security plan in place that we're not gonna discuss publicly.
Oh, I am sorry.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So we're moving on. And that is a proposed short-term rental bylaw planning board recommendation. And this is what will be at the annual town meeting.
Yep, that's what was sent to council. Of course, council is working on the finalizing this language this week with John Goddard.
Okay, and I see that they did work with our zoning enforcement officer. And try to address some of his concerns, correct?
Right.
Okay. Approve the advertisement for the town in the Westfield Business Industry Journal for 2023. This is something that we have been doing. Carl, did we pay for this out of our gift account? Is there sufficient funds to?
Yeah.
Okay, if we do the same size ad,
Yeah, you don't want to do anything big. You want to,
okay,
So move.
second,
so 1/6 sheet size ad.
yep, seconded, okay, roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul.
Jason Perone, aye.
Okay. All right, to approve the town accountant's contract renewal for fiscal 24 through fiscal 26 for Laura Fletcher. This is something that we've discussed, you know, we're very fortunate that Laura has now got all her, or has received certification as a municipal town accountant, and has been with us now for several years. And there's obviously been improvement, so I need a motion.
Doug Mogul, so move.
Jason Perone will second.
Roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Perone, aye.
Okay, next is a request for a finance committee reserve of $3,000 for Wally Park to repair a sidewalk after a water. I'm sorry,
Everyone's keeping score at home today, Mr. Chairman. Authorized chair to sign UPSEU clerical unit MOA for assistant town treasurer clerk position backfill.
thank you, thank you.
No problem.
Let me pull that back out.
And that has already been agreed to by the bargaining. unit
Okay.
And signed off by.
Is this the original, Robin? Or can this be?
I know the original.
Okay, all right, need a motion?
Motion to authorize the chair to sign.
Seconded the motion.
Roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason
Okay.
Perone, aye.
I apologize. Now we're back to approve a finance committee reserve transfer $3,000 for Wally Park to repair a sidewalk after a water break.
Just need a motion.
I need a motion.
So move.
Seconded.
Roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Perone, aye.
Okay,
Of course, it broke right under a sidewalk.
Yeah.
Of course it.
Yeah.
Carl, do I need to sign this?
Yeah. Because that's going to the finance committee
Right.
for their meeting tomorrow.
all right, the next is to accept library donations in the amount of $44 from Donna Baldrini and $10 in cash donations, and this will go to the library gift account. Need a motion?
Doug Mogul, so move.
Jason Perone, seconded.
Roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Perone, aye.
Okay, Next is an invitation from Wally Computer Associations for a groundbreaking ceremony on their new building. It would be May 4th at 10 a.m. Would cordially invite us. Groundbreaking ceremony for our 85,000 square foot facility, Thursday, May 4th, 2023, 10 a.m. 1 Wally Way, Southwick, Mass. Please RSVP. I've already RSVP'd. Anybody else?
I might be there.
Okay,
I have not, but I will.
okay.
I will too.
Put it on the, Robin, if you better remind all of us. Okay.
Got you a hat.
The next is DPW. Randy, come on up. It's our annual review of our fiscal 24, or this year happens to be fiscal 24 transfer station rates. And as we all know from previous meetings, the cost of processing our trash and removing it has gone up. And you have put together some analysis as usual of different rate increases between 5% and 30%.
Sure. So a couple meetings ago, you signed a new contract for K&W Materials for a new trash disposal rate. That rate did go up quite a bit, from $86 to $96 a ton. So that coupled with anticipated increase in salaries and other miscellaneous costs, I would expect that our expenses for FY24 will be about $40,000 higher than FY23. So question is, how do you want to account for that $40,000 gap? And on top of that, there is always a very large gap between the amount of revenue we bring into the facility versus what the operating costs are each year, and that's summarized in the table on the first page here. So the question is, do you want to just cover that $40,000 gap, or do you want to go beyond that with a higher rate increase? So if you want to just cover that $40,000, you would have to increase the rates by about 18% over current rates. And on the second page, you can see what that 18% increase would be. For our current regular sticker, that would go from 140 to 165. And then for our seniors, that would go from $80 to $94 for the year.
All right, this is something we don't enjoy doing every year. But it's necessitates. The town of Southwick still, taxpayers, all the taxpayers, whether they use it or not, still pay a share, because this is a health issue. It does keep the trash off the roads and being dumped in locations where we would end up picking it up anyway, so. Thoughts from the board?
I think you gotta be at the 18-ish. You gotta cover that 40,000 to keep the deficit about where it is right now. I get it, we covered by the, we carry it on the tax rate.
I was gonna go higher. I was gonna go 20. We're running at, how big is that deficit, Randy, usually?
About $200,000. Last year was actually, it got a little smaller the last couple of years, but it's 200 plus.
Looking at $2 and $3, and then a little bit extra for Randy.
And the private vendor thing is around 500 a year now, Randy. For the,
You compare that to a private pickup,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good deal.
those have
So
been going up too, right?
everything's going up, yeah.
Right.
And we offer more than
Oh.
services than a private contract, private pickup
Absolutely.
can
4 days a week access plus recycling and
all the options
all
we
the
have.
other stuff they can drop on. Right.
I'll throw out a compromise.
19?
You're at 19.
Well, I'll throw out a compromise. I'll go with the 140 for the regular and $90 for the seniors.
Say that again?
We're at 140 now for regular.
I'm sorry, 160 and 100, 195. How's that?
Got less than 18%?
Well, he's got 38 to 42,000, so it should come right in about that ballpark of 40.
Well, you said 160 and 95, right?
160 and 95.
So that's
Is that an
just
option?
under 15% on the annual sticker, and it's about 19% on the seniors. Correct?
Yeah, so in other words, its projected increase was 38 to 42,000, so I was just rounding it down a little bit.
Does,
I have a spreadsheet in my, I didn't bring it, I have it with me,
Yeah.
but you're probably on the low end of that 30 to 42,000 with Mr.
Okay.
Fox's suggestion.
That's
The
okay.
number of stickers we sell are pretty comparable, equal, regular versus senior citizens.
It's
Actually,
almost
we
half,
sell,
right?
actually, we sell, I think, more senior citizens than regular stickers.
right, because that's really what determines whether you're gonna be able to cover that gap, is the universe of each category.
Yep.
I have no objection to your compromise proposal. I think you're. I just hope it comes up to the right amount to cover that deficit.
Well, there's other ways too, we strongly encourage people to recycle, get those soda cans and beer cans out of that recycling stream. I mean, we're very fortunate. We have the Lions up there doing a bang up job. And they're estimating that they're only taking what, a quarter of the things that could be returned and get it out of our stream, if everybody was encouraged to, please, and if they don't want to make the donation to the Lions, to the Boy Scouts, or return them, get their money back, but get them out of our recycling stream. Anyways, I made a suggestion. We need a motion. Or somebody to change something.
Well, when you said compromise, I thought we were gonna go somewhere in between the two, so. I would present that as a compromise, 19%.
I think allow me to try to bring peace to the Middle East. I think what Mr. Fox is recognizing that, and that, I don't know, I think Randy's kind of estimated it too, but he's right. More than half the stickers are gonna be senior stickers. Is that in your number here with your guesstimate?
Yes, yeah, I
So-
think that, yeah.
I think if you take that 160-ish and 95, yes, it's gonna be a larger increase. As a percentage, but it's gonna bring close to the revenue that you need. If you wanted to be at. If you really wanted to split the baby, you would probably be at my original number of 165 and 94, but okay, I think 160 and ish and $95 will get it done. I think it's an okay number. So just recognizing that the two numbers, it doesn't have to be a linear increase because,
Yeah, I understand, you've got more money coming from the other side, the senior side, because you got more stickers.
it's about half.
Yeah.
So $95 is gonna be 19%-ish, give or take, right? Because 18 is 94 and 20 is 96, therefore 19 must be around 95.
Now,
Sure.
I will go with that then.
We have a motion.
I'll second Jason's motion.
All right, roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
of Mullen.
Jason Peron, aye.
And I see Randy, you also were recommending a change for mattresses from $15 to $24. And the cost of tires from $5 to $8. Need a motion?
Can you make them even? Would it make sense, or is that is that a straight line? Would you make it 25 and 10? Just to make it easier to count at the town clerk's office,
You want to?
please.
I will second that.
All right, we're changing that. A motion made and second, all in favor, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye.
All right,
Just on
so-
160 and 95, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Right.
you, sorry.
Yeah, it's something we don't like to see, but we got to get it done because you got to print out the,
I believe my first meeting, you made me do that.
and now we made you do it again. So if there's any complaints, it's Jason Perone. All right. There's some Chair mail here to authorize the chairman to sign city-town owner agreement for Robert Lake and Vera Lake, 457 College Highway.
457?
That's what it says, 457.
Sure. Should be really-
Okay.
That should be really close by, like
Okay.
across the street.
And that's,
That's a community development block grant agreement.
so it's a block grant agreement that
okay.
we do on a regular basis.
I'll make a motion for the chair to sign.
Okay. Jason, I need a second.
And I will second the motion.
Roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye.
Get the next one, Mr. Chairman.
What was that?
Can you get the next one?
Yeah. The next one is a one-day liquor license, Southwick Recreation Center, and I'm gonna turn the chair over to the vice chairman, since I am on the board of directors for the Southwick Recreation Center.
This is a request from the Southwick Rec Center for their 40th anniversary of their floor hockey program dinner to be held on May 12th, 5 to 12. I believe they're also requesting to waive the obviously there'll be no live entertainment because it's a nonprofit looking for a one-day liquor license. I'd entertain a motion to approve same.
As a former floor hockey participant, I will make that motion
I am,
to approve the liquor
I'm a
license.
former young coach, but never played. I'll second the motion. Doug Mogul, aye.
Jason Peron, aye.
Russ Fox abstains.
There you go.
All
Mr.
right,
Chairman,
thank
I
you.
give this whole thing back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going on to new business. And Randy's here. The review of the DPW correspondence concerning a email we received, South Long Yard Rising Corner road truck exclusion request. Randy, extremely detailed report. I want to thank you. Bottom line, after Randy reviewed everything, and Chief Landis, were you involved in the review also?
I passed the information, Sergeant Miles, to look at the data, what we had issues in the past.
Okay, okay. And basically, Randy, your recommendation is at this time, you don't see a need to do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't see how you can put a truck exclusion on South Long Yard Road, or right corner.
Right.
Part of the major road network in town. It's just the reality, that's what those roads are meant to be used for. So I don't see how that could happen.
And you're also saying it doesn't meet several of the criteria. Is that it?
I would be surprised. The 3 criteria listed in the letter from DOT, I would be surprised if we met all 3 of them.
Okay. Discussion from the board.
But removing the island, right?
So we're gonna look into that. There are some utility conflicts. There's a utility pole in the middle of the island. So we have to relocate that, but that would be my suggestion, to try to change the island configuration a little bit to make it accommodate those larger vehicles to maneuver through.
Okay.
Coming off of Rising to come on to South Long Yard toward downtown. It's a tough, it's a tough intersection because of the uphill grade there to make
Correct.
that right. I
Correct.
get it. And it's a tough bend coming into it, but
Mhm.
one thing we have done in the past. And I agree with everything in this letter, by the way. I think it was very well presented and well thought out. One thing we did look into before was we did talk to a couple local businesses that have constant deliveries from certain vendors of trucks that are making that route, and ask them if they could reconsider how they approach those locations by staying off of, whether it's coming, instead of coming up Rising Corner, to come down 57 and north on College Highway, rather than coming up South Long Yard and then coming down Depot. Because I know I fielded many calls from people on Depot as well regarding some of the truck traffic and that's coming down Depot these days and heading to South Long Yard to get back that way. So without naming names, it wasn't a bad idea to have those conversations, and we could probably line and just kind of chat through that. It usually is, a particular set of, you're gonna have traffic through there no matter what, but if there's certain ones that you can eliminate, it will help the situation measurably.
Okay. So,
I absolutely agree. You can't exclude trucks from that area.
okay,
I understand Mr. DiMartino's concerns, and most of it, I think, is people just kind of cutting corners or straightening the corners out, but, you can't exclude truck traffic there. So.
okay. So then we're going to accept the recommendation of the DPW director and notify Mr. DiMartino and tell him that we are going to be trying to take some of the suggestions that Randy did put in here. Okay, is that okay with the board?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Next is a letter of support from the superintendent of schools, Jennifer Willard, concerning a grant application by Chief Landis's department that put in for 3 officers, correct, Chief?
Now, this is for the school resource officer.
Okay, so it'd be a separate entity. So, so it's obviously something that's been discussed, you know, unfortunately, the times we live in. And the possibility of getting this grant application that this board is also approved, so. It's just an FYI that we're all on the same page. Okay, next is the letter that that we received from the lake management. We heard discussions from the chair, Mr. Grinnell's, and also one of the lake management members, Dr. Muller. Has everybody had a chance to read over the letter from Mr. Grinnell's and lake management?
Yeah.
It is. Okay, discussion.
I have none.
Doug,
I have,
okay,
is it okay for me to ask Mr. Eggleston a question? Or two,
well, listen,
if he's willing to answer?
sure.
Thank you. Just during the Q&A or non-Q&A public comment section of our meeting,
Thank you.
be clear.
All right.
So one of the things that caught my eye, I understand your explanation, and I just want to get clarity on 2 things. First is, I believe, first of all, I've been very vocal on this issue from the very beginning, from when you came in front of the planning board. I've been in front of lake management. I don't think there's a soul in town that doesn't want to see that facility put to use, right? And I appreciate your efforts to date and to getting that place reopened. No one wants to see the former Krabby Joe's eventually, you know, turn into a total state of disrepair and decay, and would like to see that facility used. That's just a flat, it was 2 steps from, I don't want to say in the lake, but it was heading in that direction, right? So that being said, I just want to be clear about that, but and so I understand the comment about the number of docks and how that makes sense. So, but there was a disagreement in your statements to me. If your local permit is for 40 docks, but your permit allows up to 49. I get that. It's like kind of, people have gone in front of the planning board for a 40,000 square foot building in 2 phases of 20,000 and 20,000, right? But they are subject to other permitting issues that don't allow them to go up to the full size. So in yours, in the public comment was that your local permit restricts you to 40 slips, is that the right word? 40 slips, right? And so you have no intention of you can't have 49 because the local permit is 40, correct?
Correct.
Gotcha. So the other thing that came up was that the docks, according to the conservation permit issued by the local conservation commission, that the docks have to come out by ice out. But it was mentioned during the public comment, and in the permit, it says that I swear I wrote it down. The first X square feet of dock, 2001 have to come out, 2000 can stay. Well, wouldn't it make logical sense, or would you agree, either via letter or something, that you would follow the conservation permit to remove those docks at ice out by December 1st every year? And And I know that there was quibbles and it's probably not the right word, I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone, there was quibbles around the storage of said docks. I don't care, as long as they're not in the water, right? Whether they're on site at Krabby Joe's, whether in your backyard, whether in a storage unit, I don't care, because the question was, if there was discussion during lake management, well, if they pull the docks out, they have to put them in the parking lot, and then it takes away spots, and I don't want to have that discussion, so they either be stored off-site or somewhere not in the parking lot. But would you agree to remove all of the docks at Ice Out by December 1st, according to the conservation permit?
No.
Okay. Why not?
Because I shouldn't have to, because the state laws say that I don't have to. On a Great Pond, they are allowed to be in the water. That's why. The state law which says I can keep 1,999 square feet of docks commercially in the water year round. And anything over that has to come out. That is a Great Pond, understood, written.
Oh, I get that it's a great pond. We've been through that with other things that.
I'm not considering myself.
Singular lake of 3 basins, right, Mr. Grinnell?
Oh, and, yes, that's correct, but the other, Tri-PVJ Marina and Louis B's. So in other words, 81 and 101 Point Grove Road all remove their docks entirely from the water every winter.
Yes, they do.
Saunders was grandfathered because they started before any of those rules went into place. They're in the 4th or 5th generation now.
Okay,
What rule?
so I guess. So I didn't mean to turn this into a back and forth. I was gonna ask a couple of questions and I was making an anecdotal comment to Mr. Grinnell's because I learned the hard way what a singular lake of 3 basins means as far as local law. So, Mr. Chair, if that's all the questions I had, I guess I was hoping to have an easy solution to this. Then, the last thing is, I do want to make a point. Regarding the parking, it's very clear from the lease agreement that we have, if we need that land, we're taking it. So if somehow the state, the town, federal government, Canada takes us over and they decide to put in a sidewalk there, you're gonna lose those 5 spots or 6 spots.
With the 90-day notice?
Yep, 90-day notice, you're out and
renewal
the
police
sidewalk's
for
going.
And it's a
And-
license.
It's
not a
part of the
lease.
license, sorry, license.
Calling it a
to be
license.
clear,
Do
license.
Not call it a lease.
I
It is
didn't.
a license.
That is correct.
If you heard me, I said it wrong.
I used the word loose.
The license allows that, but the license is very clear and the special permit for the planning board is very clear. That occupancy for the docks and the restaurant are all contingent on the number of spots. That's all math and how it goes. So if you lose those spots, it drives the math on the rest of it. You can apportion them however you want, right? But, so I didn't want to dwell on the sidewalk issue very much because within 90 days, it's curative. If the town wants to come in and do those sidewalks, they're done, then you lose the spots. And you understood that eyes wide open going in.
I do.
So that being said, Mr. Chairman, subject to further discussion, it appears that we have an impasse. I was hoping that there would be a relatively simple solution to this, but there's not. We have a relatively short window to submit this. Today is the 24th and it needs to be submitted by the 27th. If you'd like to designate a member, I would take that responsibility if necessary to discuss it with the chair of Lake Management, understanding he's got this letter here. And I understand that there may be some, and I don't know what the final curative result to this to be, rather than a full-on protest of their deal. Like I said, I understand where they're coming from. I think he answered a couple of questions tonight, but I'd like the opportunity to discuss it with Mr. Grinnell's and/or Dr. Muller and Mr. Eggleston to come to some reasonable conclusion to this that satisfies, well, basically pisses everyone off, because if everyone's angry, that means we have a good deal.
Right.
Kind of like the budget.
Right. No, I think we've gone back and forth, so. Look, we have a lake management committee. And I think they're a good committee and they do a lot of research and a lot of homework and a lot of hard work. and they've made a recommendation to this board. And I think Mr. Mogul's suggestion is a good suggestion to see if we can't work something out that everybody feels comfortable with. So if you don't have any problem, I'd like to designate Mr.
Oh, I
Mogul
have no problem. with
to work with Lake Management and also town council if necessary, to take any appropriate steps he thinks necessary,
that. Absolutely.
because we only have a couple of days here. So I don't think we need a motion. Doug, you're willing to do that?
Yeah, I mean, we can meet as soon as tomorrow evening if necessary before the planning board or what have you to try to get this kind of figured out.
Okay,
I'll talk, Ken, I got your card. I will reach out to you.
all right.
Mr. Grant, is that all right?
Sounds good.
All right, we're going on to, the only other new business that I had was I want to extend congratulations to Sean Cronin with his Eagle Scout program down on the rail trail. I was down there Saturday. They were doing the work along with their volunteers and different troop leaders. I give them a lot of credit. It looks beautiful with the mile markers. They're granite being cemented in, and some of the other stations that they're erecting. I mean, the rail trail is a tremendous asset for this town, and this only makes it better. So kudos to this young man, and congratulations on becoming an Eagle Scout. So, Mr. Steinhardt, new business.
No, we went over that already. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mogul, new business.
I'm all set.
Mr. Peron, new business.
I've got nothing right now.
Okay, we're going on to old business. North Pond, well, I have already talked about that. So we've had some improvements in the parking area. We're gonna try the porta potty. We're gonna try rail cameras. Chief Landis is stepping up patrols. We're gonna be addressing parking on the South Long Yard and the side streets. And we're also working with the conservation on education, trying to educate people that this is an asset and we do not want it destroyed. Whatever you take in, bring it back out. Okay, the next thing is the sewer IMA. We'll be meeting here tomorrow with the good mayor of Westfield and his staff and our staff to resolve and finalize the agreement that'll be on the town meeting warrant. Marijuana dispensary, that's a town meeting warrant article.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something to that. I know Jason had a conversation with John Goddard about just whether or not additional language should be added along the lines of consistent with and aligned with all relevant bylaws and regulations. Ben had relayed that may be more relevant to the zoning bylaw change later.
Okay,
So we specifically covered your wanting to have that issue looked at by council. Okay,
very good. Okay, speed limits Deer Run area, that's been being worked on. Municipal,
I have the next area when we're done with that one.
okay,
So I'll come to it when we finally ready to close that out. I'll add a new one.
okay. Municipal electricity, that is on the warrant. Anybody have any suggestions for the select board goals and objectives tonight? I'm seeing shaking
this
heads.
time.
Okay. Municipal light plant, that's on the article.
so we're good to any of these things that talk about the warrant article. Since we're gonna be finalizing the document in the order that you did. We
They
can
can
take
come
these
off.
items off.
We can remove them for the next meeting, correct? Flag banner policy, town council is still reviewing that, probably won't get to it until after town meeting,
Busy working on them.
right? Town clerk, treasurer, collector office reorganization, and we've put in
Yes.
money in the budget to look at physical changes to this building to
Right.
address if in fact we go once we decide which,
Right, we should be getting more information from the outside auditor on this project in the next month or so.
correct. And
The
that's
important
being,
thing you have on there is the vote authorizing the filing of the special act to eliminate
correct,
the combined position and to restructure it as two individual positions.
correct. All right, and we've already discussed the special town meeting, the annual town meeting.
Right, so next Monday, once we work with Laura, you'll take the consolidated vote on the budget document that you finalized and sent to the finance committee. Because, that could have changed in your dialogue tonight with the chairman of the finance committee, but it appears as though that did not happen.
It was a flip of the coin. Anyways. The only other thing I have on old business is we had some beautiful weather last week when they started the roofing project here at Town Hall. And we were a couple of days ahead and I was so happy. Then we had the problem with the rain coming in Saturday.
How much was it? 5 inches?
5 inches, but that's being addressed, and that would be a cost not borne by the taxpayers of the town of Southwick, but by other people. But Mr. Sutton did mention something to me, the possibility that the gutters might be acceptable and not have to be replaced. The downspouts would have to be replaced, which would it be?
Well, the architect would be, evaluating that they had been replaced at another point in time and they are like a copper gutter or some other
Right,
higher grade gutter, so
Right.
there is the possibility, but until the architect sees this information,
okay.
we're not gonna come forward with any recommendation.
No, but I mean, there is a possibility for considerable savings,
Yeah.
so that's
I mean,
two,
because
two positives,
Oh,
one
yes,
negative,
yes.
okay?
We're
So-
fortunate to have Mr. Lawler and Mr. Sutton teamed up on
Right.
this.
So, and the HVAC seems to be going ahead and, so two major projects to this building and,
Little bit of an inconvenience for people, but we're just gonna have to manage around it.
well,
It has to be done.
I think the fact that we had the art show going on, and kudos to the Cultural Council for putting on a
Antique
fabulous
show.
art show. And we had the Lions doing a function on Sunday in the back. And we have an HVAC project going on, a roofing project going on, and water pouring into our building in certain sections.
Pool installed in
So-
the basement.
But we still got those two events off. Nobody really was any wiser to any of the concerns. And I think people had a great time, so. Okay, old business, Mr. Steinhardt, anything?
No, we covered mine.
Okay, Mr. Mogul, old
I
business.
just have a couple. One was the art show was again, a fantastic event. Thank you to the Cultural Council. I do want to let you know, a couple of people came up to me during the reception on Friday and absolutely complimented this facility. And, there's been a lot of dialogue back and forth over the last year and a half about this facility and its historical nature and this and that, the other, but people really complimented the condition that we keep this facility and we utilize the functionality of this building. I know sometimes this building, because it was a former school and it was repurposed for another use, presents some organizational challenges and operational challenges, but the way that it's maintained by Buildings and Grounds and the custodial staff and the people elected and put forth a budget that takes care of this building, it speaks volumes. So I just wanted to get that on the record. Secondly, if we ever have another drought, Carl schedule another roof project, we get 5, 6, 8 inches of rain, solve that problem. Good Lord. It's
Well,
amazing, right? It is amazing.
What is it called? The 100-year storm when we get?
You were just
we get
talking
3 or
about
4
that
in a
during the
year.
other meeting we were having on, what was that, Thursday night, Jason?
Wednesday night
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
the pasta dinner, right?
Oh, yeah, Wednesday night. We went to that meeting and we are talking about the 100-year storm that we seem to have every about 8 days now.
Right, I
But,
was talking to the.
And that
consultant.
had to be up in the range of that number, 5.5 inches of rain in late April in Southwick. Anyway, I just want to let you know, I did meet with the library director following up to the budget hearing and some of the misconceptions that were made, might have been set forth at that budget hearing, all as well. Talked to her about the mini fiber, talked to her about some of her equipment needs, talked to her about how that, once we get, if we come out of town meeting with that municipal fiber authorization, that the library would be included in the municipal network as well. And some of the benefits that would bring in, cost savings that would bring to the library, sharing a phone system, networking, yada, yada. We came out of the meeting very impressed with what they're doing over at the library, and a very good good communication with the library director. So thank you, Ms. Blair, for having me, and glad we could clear some of that up.
Good.
That's it for me, sir.
Jason?
I've got nothing today.
All right, then we have completed all our work. We are going to be going into an executive session, not to reconvene. I thank everybody for attending tonight, and we'll see you next Monday. Executive session, a motion to go in executive session pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter C 30A, Section 21, 2, and 3, and Chapter 214, Section 1B, Labor Council litigation matters and strategy for collective bargaining with police union, fire, IAFF, DPW, non-union staff, and clerk union, UPSEU. Executive session regarding Mass General Laws, Chapter C, 30A, Section 21, 2, 3, Chapter 214, Section 1B, and Exception 2. Move to go into executive session to conduct collective bargaining sessions with non-union personnel and to not to reconvene in open session. Move to go into executive session, conduct contract negotiation with non-union personnel and to not to reconvene in open session. Declare that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the body and to not to reconvene in open session. Move to go into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, and that fair move to go into executive session to conduct strategy session in preparations for negotiation with non-union personnel and to not reconvene in open session. Move to go into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, and that the chair declare that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the body, not to reconvene in open session. Regarding Chapter 214, Section 1B, a person shall have right against unreasonable, substantial, or serious interference with their privacy. Superior Court shall have jurisdiction and equity to enforce such right in connection therewith to award damage. A roll call vote, Russ Fox, aye.
Jason Peron, aye.
All right, good night.